Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and in between the last episode and now I did the diving game twice, just because, well, we need rupees for this, and I'm totally not stalling so I don't have to do the next dungeon sooner. That's yet another magic bean, and one more, that I believe we can afford one more. They're not legendary, I'm the only person who's buying them, and... See, you sell them only to me! You said it as much yourself, and you're eating them all anyway. And thanks to some dodgy maths, I thought maybe I could get away with grinding up to 200 and then grinding a little bit more and then buying more beans. Like getting down to 50 rupees and then grinding up some more, and it's... I'll come back later when I can afford the remaining 2 beans. I will meet you back in Zora's domain.
I gotta see!
And we're back in the room. And I think there's a gold skulltula somewhere around here, but I don't remember if we can get it without the next dungeon item or not. I'm gonna go with no, so let's just stop delaying the inevitable and offer Lord Jabu Jabu his dinner and then quite wisely not get the fuck out of the way when he starts to eat, because that's exactly what's happening here. Spoiler alert. So, yeah, this guy is the next dungeon. If you've been with my channel since at least Vader of this year, you know I'm not really a fan of womb levels. I mean, I hate this dungeon, but for all the right reasons. As a game designer, I can recognise that this is a really well-designed dungeon, and they've got the aesthetics pretty much on point, because I hate it so much. This is disgusting. Now, fun little story. When I got to this point in the game as a child, I just noped out. Got into this dungeon, got into this first room, and just noped out. And there are a lot of enemies in here that we can't do shit about. These bubbles, for instance, they're called Shabom, aren't they? That's a weird name. When you break them, they expand a little, and if you get caught in that expansion, then you take damage. If I can demonstrate. Now, I thought as a child if you hit them that you just receive instant damage, no questions asked, but that's not the case. There's also little jellyfish enemies we'll encounter as well that we can't use our sword on because, well, Also, I was slightly worried there because I think this mouth saliva fluid will put out any bombs if you set them down. Yeah, there's some jellyfish enemies that are electric based, and because our sword is made of metal, we can't do anything about them. So for the most part, as I said, the aesthetic of this dungeon is on point, and so I absolutely hate it. But one thing that doesn't really make sense, and you just sort of ignore it because, I mean, you know, willing suspension of disbelief. Why would someone draw out an accurate map of Lord Jabu Jabu's insides alongside a compass and a dungeon item and then convince him to swallow it, in chests no less? That can't be an accident. And ignoring the elephant in the room, up until now, well, they're more like cows actually, this is yet another instance of Master Quest's sheer internness. Nowhere else in the game, whether it's in... well, I think maybe they use it later in Master Quest, but nowhere in the vanilla game have they used cows embedded in the wall as switches. Austin on Sugar would be proud. I'm assuming you're still watching at this point, Austin. And this is another instance of doing the dungeon backwards, because there's these tongue things. To this day I don't know what they are, but you can't really do anything about them. There's another cow switch thing. Wonder what it does. Oh, good, jellyfish enemy we can't do anything with. Well, I mean, we could hit it with a Deku stick, which is a bit of a waste of a Deku stick, because, as I said in the last episode, I've only ever used them to kill bosses up until now. And for some reason, these guys don't take damage from slingshot bullets, which is a bit of a waste. Waste? Is that the right word? And, oh, is this down here? Is this the treasure chest that we made appear? I think so. What do we got? More Deku nuts. Why? And what we got here? Another cow. A grossly disfigured cow at that. And is that big enough to be the compass? Maybe? They wouldn't give you the compass this soon, surely. And once again, I am a little bit hazy on the entire Zora's domain part of Master Quest. I'm a bit more familiar... Oh god, that cow is horribly disfigured. I am a bit hazy on Zora's River in general, and the Master Quest version of Jabu Jabu's Belly, because I don't know how I got so well acquainted with the vanilla version, because I absolutely hate this dungeon. But the Master Quest version... Oh no, it is the compass. I've only played it once. I played it once on the 3DS version, once on this game as well, because it's the game that I have. And I saw Mercedes run through it. And those those range between several years and a month or so ago. Don't leave without me, platform. There we go. This dungeon raises so many questions, though. Like, what is this? First of all, what is this? What is it floating on? Jellyfish! It was easier to just take the hit than risk getting thrown away. Now this room. This is the room in which you'd meet Ruto originally? Oh, and yep, there she is. It's very different compared to the original. There are all these holes in the floor. But in the original, they'll have these tentacles pulsating through them. We did see one of those tentacles earlier in that cross-shaped room, but we can't do anything about it yet. And in the vanilla version, they'll be blocking off some of these holes. In this version, they're just blocking off crucial key doorways. Now this, I don't understand. Is she sincerely saying that she didn't send the letter? Or is it just her being tsundere about it? Because she is very tsundere. Yeah, answers on a postcard, please. Did she send the letter in a bottle or not? I don't understand where else it could have come from if not her, but she says it wasn't her. Now, I believe this is the first instance of a required bomb chew, maybe? I think. I don't remember too well. Oh, and we just freed some grass. It's either... Oh, nearly fell down that hole. It's either required bomb chew, or you just have to get good with your bomb throwing. And, well, we're not going to use these anywhere else, and we will be getting more of them later, so... These things are so bad, they're so erratic. And that's how we open that door back there that we can't get to yet, so we should just go down the hole. Now, this lower floor is much easier to traverse compared to the original, because there's some switches that activate water chutes that'll get you from A to B, but you do this dungeon in a slightly different way compared to the original. Because in the original, you come down here, she does this, she says, you know, I'm not going to leave, but you can carry me if you want, and that's what this is leading up to. And then you carry her through the door to our right, and then up. That leads back around to where we got the compass. We'll come back up through there, and then go to the back. Once we get back up there, carry Ruto into that door that we just opened, like by shooting that cow. And then that's the first half of the dungeon pretty much done and dusted. But in this version, we have to do that in a slightly different way. I don't remember exactly how, but a slightly different way. So we need that switch. This yellow... Okay, first of all, I don't know if they've been introduced elsewhere in the game yet, but yellow switches... Oh, here we go. Yellow switches only need to be pressed once. I don't know what I was going to say that began with Q there. And blue ones need constant pressure to hold them down. There are also orange switches. Well, they're not technically orange, they're... Oh, Link, why did you not just grab the fucking... orange ones we'll deal with when we get to them. But in the meantime, obviously switches don't normally look like this. You'll have seen them in the Great Deku Tree, for instance. But in this dungeon they look like that because they're weird little pustulely node things, and yeah, that was why I was hugging the wall there, because this dungeon, even in the original, is fond of dropping enemies on you from above. But in the original, obviously, they wouldn't have these Lizalfos. I've heard it pronounced Lizalfos, but that doesn't quite sit right with me. Lizard plus Stalfos, but without the skeletonness. In the original, they just have the larger version. Oh god, there's a like. In the original, they have just buffed up versions of the tiny jellyfish. Because the tiny jellyfish are called Biri, and the larger ones are called Barry, which is a cute name for jellyfish, I suppose. Now, they keep giving us Deku Nuts because that's how you... Can you not? like over there, can you not? Ah, it's coming into this block, apparently. You know what, I'll just... Can I... Okay, these enemies, if you're not familiar with Zelda games, they're called likes. As a child, I pronounced it likey because... Why would it be pronounced like? But even though it's based on some in-universe rhyme that they'll eat they'll eat anything of all likes alike or something like that. The point is, if they attack you, then they'll steal your shield, and later in the game, other things as well. And it's kind of a nuisance, because if you don't defeat them immediately, then they'll swallow it and you'll never get it back. And this is why they've been giving us deku nuts, so we can shoot these things. They're just called stingers, I believe. They're kind of nuisancey, but also kind of not. Like, they're not that bad. So, what do I need to do? You're still in the air. Is there a thing up here? Can we climb up this? No, it's... Okay, that... What are you showing me? I'm guessing you're trying to tell me that there was a chest forming up there. But because the angle I was at, you didn't actually change the camera, you genius basket. Now, in the original, you need to bring Ruto in here, throw her onto that ledge on the other side of the room, to my left at the moment, and then hit that switch and throw up after her, because you can't carry stuff while you're in water. That's kind of a given in most games where you can carry things, not just in Zelda games. So that's the original version puzzle. Oh yeah! This is the dungeon item. They give it to you stupidly early in this dungeon. I'm not saying that as a bad thing, but just as a quantifier. They give it to you ridiculously early. I don't know why, but... Well, we have the boomerang now. Which button do I normally put it on? I don't remember. Well, I'll put it on the right. It doesn't look right there, though. And... Why? There was a jet of water here, and now it's gone. Why? Like, there is one more thing that we need. That block there. You probably heard what's inside it. But I'm not going to spoil it in case you didn't hear it. And again, hugging the wall just in case another enemy spawns from above. Now we're back here again. That's another thing about this dungeon. You can throw shit through walls and it'll bleed a little bit and jiggle. And it's kind of disgusting because we're inside a living entity. Anyway, we have the dungeon of the item, as I intend to persist in calling it. So now that we have a wood-based thing that doesn't require us to hold on to it when we use it to attack, we can now attack electric-based enemies without fear of repercussion. Because, of course, we're holding on to... Despite the fact that we're holding on to the wooden hilt of a metal sword, that the game still thinks, oh, well, you're attacking an electric enemy with a metal sword, therefore conducting electricity. Now, these assholes, you just stun them with a boomerang. That's kind of the usual property of boomerangs in Zelda games. They stun enemies, that's their deal, that's the thing that they do. Now, do we need Ruto for this section? Because in the vanilla version, obviously you do, because you'd need to bring her through. Like, you need to bring her up here, that would be the whole point. But in this version of the dungeon, we can't quite do that. And so, another Lizalfos, whatever they're called. Lizalfos. Also, these canals, these corridors, they move by themselves, which is slightly disconcerting. I know I could just press the A button to drop those bombs, but if you press the R button, you're guaranteed to drop it, rather than... Because if you move while pressing A, then the drop command becomes throw. And that's one of those tentacles I was talking about, and there's another one of the same colour. Note the colour of them, though, because there's that one we saw earlier that was red, and those are both, like, well... They're grey, but let's say for argument's sake that they're blue. They sort of look like... I don't know, they look like the sort of texture that a grandfather would wear as... Like a pair of grandfather trousers. But like a modern grandfather. Not a down with the kids grandfather, but just a grandfather from century 21. Now, this is a parasitic tentacle, ? Because it is a little bit suggestive looking. And, no, this has a colour to it as well. And... These are the things responsible for the tentacles that are blocking the various rooms. Now, I'm not too good at this, but you have to bait it into coming down, hit it with boomerang, and then get back before it, because these things are very fond of slapping you in the face. So, you have to bait them into coming down, throw the boomerang, wait for it to take damage, and then get back. And they just sort of collapse into weird, fleshy meatballs. Yet another reason why I don't like this dungeon. In the vanilla version, a lot of these doors will be blocked by... did you have to respawn? These blue switches and the nerve wall things that are this dungeon's version of iron bars that would lock you into a room. And in the vanilla version, you use Ruto to hold down the switches, but in this version, you just have these wooden crates over here. And note that we defeated a reddish tentacle, but these blue grandfather trousers are still here, so there must be a blue tentacle somewhere that controls them. And... Do we need the thing? There's a fire thing here. Like, there's a wall there that's made of web, and we need a fire-based thing to dispose of it. I don't remember if there's fire in it. Oh, yes, there is. So we could go back and get the thing from Hyrule Castle grounds that I'm missing, because that is a fire-based item. And... I don't remember what's in this room, but I'm suddenly rather worried. Because, as I recall... it waits a minute and then drops likes on you. That's the thing with this room. I remember, you hit a switch, you wait a little bit, and then something happens. And that's what happens. And so this is a kill room, but with arguably the most intimidating enemy to ever grace the Zelda games because it feels so violated. But because the ceiling, like just speaking from a game development standpoint, the ceiling of this room isn't a solid object, so they could hide stuff outside the bounds of this room and then just have them drop in like this. And, yep, there we go. So the switches that like these cow switches, are just getting rid of barriers. We'll see them later, and I think we saw them in the Great Deku Tree as well. These ice-looking blocks, these clear crystal things that are a little bit white and they're solid, they look a little bit icy. That, I believe, they're holding the likes up just out of bounds of the room. They're holding it up using some of those crystal platforms, and so hitting those cow switches turns those crystal platforms off, and then the likes can drop into the room. But they're just out of bounds enough that there's a bit of a delay between when they fall and when they actually enter the room. So the idea is you're standing right underneath the cow switch when you hit it, and then you get hit by the like on your head. So, using what we learned in the Deku Tree, as well as the general Zelda maxim of, if a room gives you a random item and no other treasure, you're probably going to need to use that item, and that must have caused some serious heartburn. No pun intended. And now look at this, it's the Grandfather Trouser Tentacle. Why am I calling it that? I don't know. And when will I call time on this episode? Nobody knows. It's funny, because I was saying in Dodongo's Cavern, it's like, let's play lore that Dodongo's Cavern has to take 3 episodes. But at this rate, I'm going to get through this dungeon in 2. Which is surprising, because it's the 3rd dungeon. Even though, as I said, apart from the bombs you need bombs in this version of like, in Master Quest you need the bombs in this dungeon. But in the vanilla version, I don't think you do. You just need the bombs to get through Zora's River. And so were it not for that, you could just do this as the 2nd dungeon. Don't know why I'd want to get here all the sooner, but, well, we're here now. And again, hugging the walls because I'm afraid of them dropping a barrier on top of me. And, oh look, it's a green tentacle. Yum. Except not yum, because I hate this dungeon. And props to me, though. Just to come over all narcissistic, props to me for dealing with this dungeon so maturely, though. Because I hate it. It's icky and it's disgusting and bleh. But I'm tolerating it. And I would call time soon, but I don't know, because there's that bit at the beginning that I'm cutting out. So, yes. I've always pronounced it Tail Pasaran, but maybe it's Tail Pasaran, maybe it's Spanish, maybe it's Tail Pasaran, which means they will tail Pasa. Oh, bubble. Now we can take these out from a distance now as well, and again, for some reason, slingshot pellets don't work on those bubbles. Also, these bubbles were repurposed in Majora's Mask to just be completely harmless things that hold stray fairies. I don't know why that is. Like, they reprogram them so that you can walk into them without taking damage, and they're just there as a means of holding stray fairies, nothing else. And what did that do? I'm very worried now. I'm getting out of dodge. Oh. I was afraid that was just a random switch to drop a like on me, and it is taking a lot of effort for me not to call them likey-likies, because... Oh, you tease. Yeah, for some reason, wall-based Skulltulas are called Skull Wall Tulas, and that's just there to make you think there's a gold Skulltula in here, but I think there might be one in here anyway. It's just, you have to finish solving the puzzle of the room first. And also, this room is completely optional. I don't know why I changed tab there. Where are you going, Navi? Right. I don't think we can do this yet either, but... I hate how the Bobjus just sort of go wherever they want. So... I did not tell you to go into first-person view there, Link. Why do you keep doing this? There's the Skulltula. Oh, wait, we have the boomerang. We can get this now. What was Navi going green over then? Because Navi can't L-target gold Skulltulas. She just doesn't recognise that they're a thing that's there. And something I learned from Misayanella, it's difficult to aim the boomerang, but if whatever you're aiming at is covered up by Link's face, then it'll get got by the boomerang. So, I think, because I'm really shit at estimating time, I think we're good for this episode now. So we've done all these rooms, I believe. We killed all the tentacles. So in the next episode, we're going to head back downstairs and get blocked by this tongue thing. What are these things meant to even be? In the next episode, we'll head back down through one of these holes, deal with Princess Ruto, and preferably get out of the dungeon, because there is not much of this dungeon left. Just pausing so those enemies can't get any closer. So, yeah, I have been and will continue to be Tessellating Hexagons, and I'll see you then. This is the first of at least 2 examples of Master Quest making dungeons shorter and easier by virtue of attempting to make them harder. I've rambled enough. See you next time.